The son of Wang Jianlin, the founder of Wanda Group and a well-known Chinese second-generation rich, Wang Sicong, displayed his arrogance during a variety show dialogue. The host asked, "It is said that there is only one limited edition Aston Martin in the whole of Shanghai. What is Aston Martin?" Wang Sicong arrogantly retorted, "I don't think you need to ask this question because I don't think you will have much intersection with it in your life. If there is really only one in Shanghai, then it must be mine." From this conversation, it can be seen that Aston Martin is not something that ordinary people can possess. Firstly, its production volume is very low. In 2000, Aston Martin's annual production volume exceeded 1,000 vehicles for the first time. In 2022, Aston Martin's global total sales were approximately 6,400 vehicles, of which only 774 were sold in the Chinese market. Aston Martin's main competitors are Ferrari and Lamborghini. In the field of supercars, in terms of global influence, American car manufacturers are generally not its rivals. However, 10 years ago, no one could have imagined that Chinese automaker Geely would invest in the globally renowned supercar brand Aston Martin. But in fact, this is not Geely's first investment in Aston Martin. In late September 2022, Geely invested £66 million and successfully acquired a 7.6% stake in Aston Martin, becoming the fourth largest shareholder. By May of this year, Geely increased its investment by another £234 million, raising its stake to 17%, surpassing Mercedes-Benz and becoming the third largest shareholder of Aston Martin. This is the fourth overseas top luxury car company that Geely has capitalized in. Li Shufu, the founder of Geely, is one of the top capital hunters in the Chinese automotive industry. After all, it was the successful acquisition of Volvo that truly propelled Geely to achieve leapfrog development and become the #1 privately owned Chinese automaker. From Volvo to Malaysian automaker Proton, to the supercar brand Lotus, and later Mercedes-Benz and now Aston Martin, Geely has created many perfect win-win collaborations through overseas acquisitions. So, how extensive is Geely's capital map? Has Li Shufu's path of overseas acquisitions always been so smooth? How did Geely successfully acquire these globally influential overseas automotive giants? Hi! Welcome to Auto Age. Before we started today's video, please subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. As one of the most important producers in China, Geely is also the owner of brands many Westerners know and love, like say Lotus, Volvo, and Smart. In today's video, let's talk about Geely's road to overseas acquisitions, or the road to success. Okay, let's get started. In fact, as early as 2006, Geely entered the UK's manganese bronze holdings, holding a 19.97% stake. In China, Geely and Manganese Bronze jointly launched a joint venture brand called Geely England, but the sales were very poor. This was Geely Group's first experience with mergers and acquisitions in the international market, and the outcome was not particularly satisfactory, but the losses were not significant. It was the successful acquisition of Volvo that truly propelled Geely to achieve leapfrog development and become the #1 privately owned Chinese automaker. Volvo is a luxury brand from Northern Europe, but due to the small size of the Northern European market and facing intense competition from BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Audi, it had been experiencing years of losses. It first came under the control of Ford, but at that time, Ford seemed to be thriving on the surface while actually being weak internally. Ford owned brands such as Lincoln, Mercury, Aston Martin, Jaguar, Land Rover, and Volvo. Among these luxury brands, Volvo was not particularly outstanding. Later, everyone became aware of the story: the collapse of the American automobile industry, Ford facing a capital crisis, and to save itself, it sold Aston Martin, Jaguar, Land Rover, and Volvo. Among them, Jaguar Land Rover was acquired by the Indian Tata Group, becoming a top luxury brand in India and gaining popularity in the Chinese market. Volvo, on the other hand, was bought by Geely, propelling Geely to its first pinnacle of success. With the support of Volvo's technology, Geely significantly improved its own car manufacturing capabilities and created the first national sensation, the Geely Emgrand. This was the first domestically produced Chinese car to enter the top 10 best-selling cars in the sedan segment in China. Every time the sales rankings were released, 9 out of the top 10 were joint venture cars between Chinese and foreign companies, with the lone Geely Emgrand. With Geely's funding and channels, Volvo also reopened the Chinese market and became a luxury brand ranking just below BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Audi. However, Geely's cooperation with Volvo did not stop there. After Geely's complete acquisition of Volvo, it also promoted Volvo to establish a factory in Chengdu, achieving localization of Volvo and exporting its vehicles worldwide. This not only reduced Volvo's production costs but also enhanced its international competitiveness. After the mutually beneficial cooperation between the two parties, Geely and Volvo jointly established the mid to high-end brand Lynk & Co., with cumulative sales exceeding 850,000 vehicles, making it the fastest-growing high-end automotive brand in China. Entering the era of new energy, Geely reversed the flow by exporting electrification technology to Volvo, and the two established the high-end new energy vehicle brand, Polestar. In 2022, the Polestar 2 model sold over 32,000 units in Europe and 8,700 units in North America, but only 1,700 units in China. As those who follow our channel should know, the competition in China's new energy market is fierce. However, in Europe, Polestar is the only high-end electric vehicle brand under the Volvo umbrella in Northern Europe. Perhaps most Chinese people consider Polestar as a lesser-known brand that is not mainstream. But in Europe and the United States, Volvo is highly respected, and with the existence of Volvo, the product jointly created by Geely and Volvo, Polestar, can quickly occupy the high-end market in Europe. Furthermore, to reduce Volvo's dependence on Geely Group for capital, Volvo successfully went public in Sweden with a market capitalization exceeding $22 billion. By the way, Geely only spent $1.8 billion to acquire 100% ownership of Volvo, making this cooperation simply perfect. With the success of Volvo, Geely embarked on a frenzy of capital mergers and acquisitions, taking a 51% stake in Malaysian automaker Proton and acquiring a 51% controlling stake in the supercar brand Lotus. Geely adopted the same approach and established a Lotus production line in Wuhan. Many people may not know that Lotus was actually ahead of Tesla in the development of electric vehicle technology. Tesla's first electric sports car, the Roadster, was jointly developed using Lotus technology. With a 0 to 100 km/h acceleration of just 1.9 seconds, it propelled Tesla to fame. The chassis architecture and safety technology of the Tesla Roadster were derived from Lotus. Elon Musk later launched this sports car into space using the Falcon 9 rocket. In addition, the acquisition of Proton brought two major benefits to Geely. First, it revived Proton and made it the national sensation in Malaysia. Second, Geely acquired a controlling stake in Lotus, marking its entry into the global supercar arena. Following that, Geely continued to replicate the miracle of Volvo and facilitated Lotus listing in the United States, with a valuation of $5.4 billion, equivalent to approximately 38 billion renminbi. Meanwhile, Geely only spent $1.2 billion to acquire a 51% stake in Proton. By the way, Lotus is just a subsidiary brand under Proton. During this period, Li Shufu also invested in Daimler AG, becoming its largest individual shareholder, and invested in Aston Martin, securing the second supercar brand. Moreover, the reason Aston Martin was willing to accept Geely's investment was primarily due to Geely's electrification technology. More precisely, it was the electric supercar technology held by Lotus in Geely's hands. Since Lotus was able to assist Tesla in creating its first supercar, it naturally can also drive Aston Martin's electrification transformation. At this point, all of the luxury car brands in the UK have been sold. Rolls-Royce was sold to BMW, Aston Martin was divided among Canada, Germany, and China, Jaguar Land Rover was acquired by the Indian Tata Group, Milligram was sold to SAIC, Lotus was sold to Lotus, Bentley and McLaren was sold to Volkswagen. This corresponds to the decline of the British automotive industry, as its assets have been essentially sold off. Now, let's take a look at how these acquired overseas brands have helped Geely in terms of sales. As per the numbers made public, Geely's brands sold a total of 2.3 million vehicles in 2022. To put that into perspective, that's over 3% of the total global sales expected this year, and another clue as to just how important Chinese companies are becoming in the global market. The brands Europeans and Americans are most interested in contributed of course to the sales growth, which was of 4.7% over 2021. The most important of all, Volvo, sold 615,121 vehicles, over 10% of which were represented by the electric vehicles in the Recharge range. Volvo's offshoot Polestar reached new heights as well, contributing 51,500 cars to the Geely total, while Smart, still operated as a joint venture with Mercedes-Benz, kept the bar high over in China with 10,000 units sold in a single quarter. By the number of vehicles sold, the Geely brand is responsible for the biggest chunk of the pie. It delivered 1.43 million units to customers in the markets it is present in, mostly China, as just under 200,000 cars went to export. Like elsewhere in the industry, electrification plays an important part in Geely's success. 29% of all the cars Geely's brands sold in 2022 are EVs, or a total of 675,000 units. The other names under the Geely umbrella, Lynk & Co., Geometry, Livin, Zeekr, Proton, and Farazon, all saw big numbers or at least posted impressive figures in their first year on the market. For 2023, Geely estimates the push for electrification will continue, while the easing of COVID restrictions and supply chain problems will likely drive 2023's numbers even higher. Okay, as we can see, the most striking examples of Geely's cooperation are the development of premium electric vehicles and hybrids under the Smart brand in conjunction with Daimler AG, the development of internal combustion engines with Volvo Car Group, which has been a subsidiary of Geely since 2010. In addition, the iconic acquisitions of Geely are the Malaysian company Proton, the British Lotus and the American Terrafugia. Behind Geely's expansion in the realm of capital lies the robust support of the Chinese economy. Relying solely on fervent nationalism is insufficient to penetrate the international market. Capital mergers and acquisitions, technology exports, shared interests, nurturing overseas interest groups, and creating a community of shared interests between China and foreign countries are all wise paths. The dominance of joint venture cars in the Chinese market for over 40 years, with a market share of 50% today, is the best evidence of this. Okay, that's all for today. Please put your comments below, and share your insightful ideas with other people. Do you want to learn about more auto stories? Please keep following our channel and like our videos. Thank you so much for your continuous support. Your precious time with us is highly appreciated. See you.